guys, welcome back to part 2 of the class. So this part is about exponents and powers. So that's what I have written down here. You'll understand a little bit more now in a few minutes as we talk about it, and it's not as scary as it sounds. So just bear with me. So what I want to do today is understand exponents. So squared, cubed, powers, indices, all of those words. All right. Now you will be very familiar with the term BIDMAS. See it there? This one here. Okay. We've talked about it numerous times when we're discussing the order of operations that we do in maths. Okay, so you get a big complicated expression with square roots or something to the power of 3 and brackets. And do we add and subtract first? Do we multiply or divide first? Okay, so you're very familiar with that. We've done that quite a bit. So BIDMAS is also referred to as BEDMAS, BODMAS, among others. Okay, and we've discussed that the Americans call brackets. That's what the B is for in BIDMAS, BEDMAS, BODMAS, whatever you want. That B stands for brackets. Americans use the word parenthesis, so sometimes you'll see this with a P instead of a B. Okay, just depends on where you're from and where you've had your education. All right, but we have 3 examples here. We have BIDMAS, BEDMAS, and BODMAS. So they're all the same except for the second letter. So the I in BIDMAS, that stands even for indices. The E, okay, here stands for exponents. The O here stands for order. Okay, so they all mean the same thing. We also refer to indices, exponents, order as power. So I might say to you 2 to the power of 3. Okay, that's the 2, the base 2 with the power of 3, the little 3 written above. It's the way we say if we want to talk about capacity. We say something has a cubic capacity of 76 units, okay? 76 cubic units. So that's to the power of 3. But obviously, you know, BPD, MAS would be a bit hard to say, so we don't bother with the P option, okay? But they all mean the same thing. Now, the explanation of what an exponent or index or order or power is given in the Maths Fun site at this location is very good. And actually, let me just go to it. I don't think I have it open, so I apologize. I should have had that open for you. But let's just go in here and have a look at that, because it's really simple. Hopefully this will come up in a second. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay. So this is the Maths Fun website. We use this a lot. It's a really good website. And I'm just going to scroll down a little bit so you can see it when I'm not. Okay, exponents. Okay, powers, orders to the power of, indices, all covers the same thing. The exponent of a number says how many times to use the number in a multiplication. Okay, so in 8 to the power of 2, as I would normally call it, or 8 squared, the 2 says to use 8 twice in the multiplication. So 8 to the power of 2, or 8 squared, equals 8 times 8, 64. Okay, and just to get familiar with the language, here's our number 8. That's the base number. And then the little number that's written on top to the right-hand side, that's our exponent or index or power. Okay, and it says here again, exponents are also called powers or indices. Okay, indices is just the plural of index. Okay, it's like vertex and vertices, if you remember those from Shape and Space. All right, some more examples are here. So this one, our base is 5 and our power is 3. So that means we multiply 5 3 times. 5 by 5 by 5 is 125. Okay, in words, 5 to the power of 3. Oh, sorry, it says it here. So this could be called 5 to the third power, 5 to the power of 3, or simply 5 cubed. All right. So some of that language is familiar to you. Cubed is familiar. To the power of is probably familiar. I don't normally say to the third power. I normally say to the power of the number, but you know, it doesn't matter which way you say it as long as you know what you're talking about. And here's another power of 4, and you have to multiply it 4 times. And again, in words, this could be called 2 to the 4th power, 2 to the power of 4, or simply 2 to the 4th. Okay, an easier way to say it. So what do exponents do for us? Why do we use them? Exponents make it easier to write and use many multiplications. Okay, so you can see here, it gives the example of the base 9 to the power. Much easier to write and read than 9 by 9 by 9 by 9 by 9 by 9. Okay, like we always say, so that we don't have to do all of this. Okay, and you can try that in here. This is let's put in 4 to the power of 6. Okay, and that shows you exactly what that would be, and it gives you the answer, which is really nice. Okay, so that's what exponents are. So don't let the word freak you out, because you've seen it before, and it's just a way of showing how often we want to multiply a number. Okay, I'm going to pause the video there. I'm probably going to end up having to do a couple of videos on this because there's a lot of things to show you, but I just want you to have a look through that again, make sure you're happy with it, and maybe look through this video again and try and have a go of a few expressions there and see how you get on. Okay, some of them you'll be familiar with. When you use squared, for example, if we say, let's make this 6 squared, that's 6 by 6. So if we had a square, okay, of side length 6, the area of that is going to be, okay. All right, I'm just going to start. Okay, guys, welcome back. So we just looked at the Maths is Fun page, and hopefully you had a chance to try a few of those exponents and see how you can write them in different ways. And did you notice how big the numbers get very quickly? Once you put in a high number for the power, you get big numbers really, really quickly. So once you've done that, I want you to take a look at the video in the link below. Now, this is Khan Academy. You're familiar with it. We use it quite a bit in class. And this is the introduction to exponents. And he explains it really well. And one thing that he says actually at the very beginning of this video, which I forgot to mention and I should have, is you always have to remember that multiplication is just repeated addition, okay? So you know that already from your basic multiplication, but this is just an extension of it. This is just telling us how many times you have to multiply something instead of how many times you have to add it, okay? I do want to point out, and I'll show it to you in a second as well on the screen, at one point he uses dots instead of multiplication signs. Now, I have mentioned that before with respect to algebra, but not in other areas. So using a dot is the same thing as using an X for multiplication, okay? So when you click on this link here, you will see this screen, okay? At the beginning of the video. So, and this is what I wanted to show you. So here's 2 by 3, which is the same thing as 2 3 times. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. That's your standard multiplication, okay? 2 to the power of 3 is not adding. It means multiply 2 3 times. So I know the arrow is in the way here, but you can see he does 2 dot 2 dot 2 is what's behind there. That's what I'm talking about, where he uses the dot instead of the multiplication sign, okay? So it just means multiply, okay? So that's the same as 2 by 2 by 2, okay? Nice short little video. It's very straightforward. So have a look at that and come back to the notes after you've had a look at it, okay? I'm just going to switch back to the lesson plan now. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so I've asked you to have a look at that video. And after that, whoops, the next link, and that might bring you through to it automatically when you're, it's Khan Academy. It's just the continuation of what you've just been doing. And it gives you a set of practice set questions and then challenge set questions. So just try and do those. Follow all of the prompts and go through the questions. They're not difficult, but it'll get you used to trying to use it, okay? There's only about 6 or 7 questions in each, if that many, so it won't take you too long. There is one little thing that may catch you out. I'm going to pause the video here and just bring you to the screen when I have it at the right place so that you know what to do when you get to that point. So just give me a moment and I'll be back to you. Okay, back again, guys. So this is the link I was talking about. This is talking about squaring numbers. So you're very familiar with this. Once you've done area, you're used to squaring numbers. So I want you to go to that site and let me just bring you in here. This is one of the challenge set, I think. Okay, so what it asks here is that you order the expressions from least to greatest. Just in case you're not sure what to do on that type of question, you're going to be dragging the box. Okay, let me see if I can do it on this. Not actually letting me do it because I'm recording this. But when you're on the website, you can click on the box and drag it either to the left or to the right to get the correct order. So just play around with the website. It might take you a little bit of time to get used to it, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to our lesson plan. Okay, so once you've done that, and you can do that numerous times, and don't worry if you get questions wrong, that's fine. It's all about learning, so that's absolutely fine. There are 2 worksheets attached with this lesson plan for this particular section. One is a square root chart called square root chart. It's just for reference. Let me show you that. Here it is, a table of all, not all, but a lot of common square roots, okay? Now, we've been talking about squared, so if we say 3 to the power of 2, that means 3 multiplied by 3, which is 9. So 3 squared is 9. But if we go to here, this sign is the square root, and we've used that with calculators, if you remember, okay? So if we want to find the square root of a number, that's the number that you have to multiply by itself to get the number that's actually in here. So 3 multiplied by 3 is 9, okay? 4 multiplied by 4 is 16, and so on, okay? So 16 is 4 squared, okay? So that's what that's showing you there, all right? So that's just for reference, okay? And then the other one, the other is called square root fun 1. Don't use a calculator, okay? I want you to use the chart. And if you have to, just work it out using multiplication, okay? So that one I do have open, I hope, here as square root fun. This one. Okay, there you go. Now they're not terribly different from your tables. You'll have them in no time. If you've got a multiplication chart in front of you, you'll also have them in no time, okay? Because the multiplication chart shows you the squared numbers as you run down through it, okay? So just I'm not going to do the first. Let me see what's the first one. Okay, let me take 16. The square root of 16. We talked about this a minute ago. It is in your reference chart, okay? But the square root of 16 is 4, which means you have to multiply 4 by 4 to get 16. What number do you have to multiply by itself to get this number? That's what that's asking. Okay, right. So that is the first part of this section. Okay, so don't use your calculator, as I said. After you've done the worksheet, continue with the lesson plan below. Okay, and just watching the time on the video, I'll probably have to make another video to get through all of this. So what I might do is cut it. No, actually I won't, because this is relevant. Just talk through this briefly, and then there'll be a third video. Okay, it's a 3-hour class, so we've plenty of time to do this. So I just wanted to show you some examples of where you've used exponents before, okay, because it is a kind of an odd word that you may not have heard, but we do use them all the time. So what I've got here is a square, okay, so the square, the shape on the left is a square. Okay, you don't have to measure it, you can just take it as a square, okay. It's 3 units wide and it's 3 units long, okay. To calculate the area of a square, we multiply the length by the width. Area is equal to length by width. In this case, that will be 3 by 3, 9 square units. 3 by 3 can also be described as 3 squared, okay? 9 is the same thing as 3 squared. But that's where you'll see what we've done previously and how it relates to what you're doing today, okay? And likewise, we have a cube below that, okay? The shape on the left is a cube, okay? It's like the 3D version of a square, if you like. 3 units wide, 3 units long, and 3 units high. 3 wide, 3 long, 3 high, okay? So to calculate the volume of a cube, and you've done volume before, we multiply the length by the width by the height. So V is equal to length by width by height, or area, which is length by width, multiplied by height, same thing. In this case, that would be the 3 by the 3 by the 3, which will give you 27 cubed units. If you broke apart a Rubik's Cube, which is 3 by 3 by 3, you will get 27 cubed little cube units in it. 3 by 3 by 3 can also be described as 3 to the power of 3. Okay, so that's where you've seen it before. Right, I am going to stop this video before we run out of time, and I'll load it and then record part 3 for you. Okay, thanks guys. Bear with me, I know it's a bit long.